Today I will be talking about some of the things that I've learned and found helpful with the G1000. So I am lucky enough to have some background with the Garmin G1000 before taking this class. I learned to fly in a Cirrus that was equipped with a G1000 that had the Cirrus perspective. And then I did my multi-engine training in a Seminole that had the G1000 NXI. So I never really flew with any other type of avionics until after I finished all my certificates and ratings. After I finished, I did some flying with different glass avionics, like Aspen, Avidyne, and Honeywell, but I've never really had any experience of strictly a six-pack cockpit. So although I do have experience with glass and specifically the G1000, this course has been a great refresher for me, just since it's been a while since I have flown with the G1000 specifically, and I've also already learned about some things that I was unaware of before. One thing that I used to always use when flying with the G1000 was the nearest airport soft key. Typically, I would use this soft key as a quick way to go direct back to my home airport or to see how long a runway is, so I can give an accurate available runway distance during a takeoff briefing. Sometimes I used it just when practicing emergencies, a lot of time in the Seminole, but I would use it just to get to the closest airport without having to spend a lot of time looking around for an airport to land in an unfamiliar area. One thing that I had forgotten about is that with the nearest airports tab, you can load your airport frequencies much faster than typing in on the keyboard or with the knobs, scrolling with the knobs. I didn't use that a whole lot, but it's definitely something that I have used, and I remember it being very helpful, especially going on cross countries and switching between frequencies pretty often. So another one of the G1000 capabilities that I like is being able to create a user waypoint. This came in handy for practicing holds or other instrument training, either during training or just by yourself with a safety pilot. So the user waypoint came in handy for that, but at my flight school we use this feature for something a little less practical as far as flight training goes. The airport our flight school was based at had neighborhoods on both sides of the field, which means that we were constantly flying over houses during approaches and pattern work. We followed the noise abatement procedures, but we always had the same neighbor call in and complain about the noise. Nobody could really give her a solid answer about the noise because, living by an airport is pretty hard to avoid. But one day, one of my classmates spoke up saying that he knew the neighbor that kept calling because she lived down the street. So eventually we were able to find the house and pinpoint the GPS coordinates, which we then used to create a user waypoint and labeled it as a no-fly zone, just to make sure that everyone avoided that area. So kind of a funny way that we used that feature, but definitely something that worked out well for everybody. So one thing that instructors have always told me when using the G1000 along with any other sort of glass cockpit avionics is to just use the avionics as a tool and not rely on automation completely. So although automation is nice and can be extremely helpful, we should always keep our piloting skills sharp in case we have to revert back and rely on those skills. To me, that's a complete opposite of what the Bible is for us. I think the Bible is there to always rely on, no matter what situation we find ourselves in, and God will always be there for us whenever we need Him.